Hi, Paul.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm perfect. I'm perfect. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's great to meet you, man. Thanks for taking a minute out.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to be here
Yeah, me too, man. So, where are you coming out of?
in Dublin, in Ireland.
Oh, man. Wonderful. I did one of those genealogy 23andMe's, and I have a lot of Irish blood in me. I didn't look like it. My dad was full-blooded Italian. So it's kind of kind of a hokey thing when you look, but yeah. So I have a deep affinity. In fact, one of my best friends who is the engineer for my radio show is Irish and has great Irish accent and gets into it really well. So
Oh, very good. Very good.
so yeah.
Well,
So how's it? What's that?
hopefully your listeners will be able to understand the accent anyway.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. Every time I talk to folks that are in Australia and Ireland and England, I love it. I think there's this fascination that we all have with how English gets totally molded into where you're from. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's cool. Well, man, it's great to meet you. Before we get into things, I want to know, you know, the global phenomenon, so to speak, of COVID, living through it was quite a thing. It did its thing on all of us for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
How did you survive that time period, and how has it changed the way that you live your life and conduct business now?
Did it exist?
Right. Was it the Matrix?
Honestly, it's starting off COVID. So we got locked down over here in March 2020.
Yeah.
And it really, so I lost a number of clients at the time. But actually, literally, I don't think I've been busier ever in my business than during COVID. Because a good number of my clients were already using Zoom. So it was just transition for me. But then it actually got me to do an awful lot more of activities that were kind of in my mind for a while, but actually kind of forced them to take happen. So hence, really, like I started a new community. I got back to write my book and so on. So it was actually very, very positive from my perspective. I didn't get a minute to relax. Whereas those people are around me, they had a holiday for a long term. So they were kind of just, for one better word, sitting at home and twiddling their thumbs. I just put my focus into, okay, so look at what else can I do? How can we do things differently? And it's, yeah, I haven't looked back, to be honest.
So does it kind of lend to who you are? You're the kind of guy that wants to get things done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love seeing results. I
Yeah.
absolutely love seeing results. And it's always a case of, okay, so how can we either do better, or if it's not working well, okay, so what can we do to change it, or to improve it? Yeah.
I think that time period really embellished who we already were. If we were the type of people that went for it, that wanted to get
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
it just
It
heightened that.
defined. Yeah, it defined us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could see the people that kind of, for one bad word, they put their head in the sand and say, "Oh, look at, okay, so we can't do anything," and their business is just stagnated, and they disimproved significantly, and they lost a huge amount of ground. And then obviously, on top of that, you add fear and anxiety onto them, and
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
the challenges that they had to deal with coming out of it then were huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the heart and soul of you being the intuitive business consultant. And what I want to know is, let's put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. One of the kids, third graders, looks up at you and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
With great difficulty. Because honestly, trying to explain what I do for people is just, it's really, really weird. So like I've been in business for over 22 years now. And on the business consultancy side of things, that was easy. Like I would just tell people, look at it. I work with people in professional services. I help them get more clients, more fees, and more time. Simple.
Yeah.
But then you add in the intuitive side, and again, where I come from in Ireland, well, me personally, I kept all of that hidden. I kept it very, very covert. I wouldn't say much about it until such times I developed a huge amount of relationship and trust with the clients that I worked with. And then we could start to discuss other areas, for example, intuition or spirituality and all that kinds of things. But in simple terms, for one better word, I was talking to a third grader. I said, look, I put people on the right track. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
People that feel that they're at a crossroads, or they've lost their way in life and are trying to figure out, look, what am I supposed to do in life? What direction should I go in? What should I do? That's the answer that I give them.
It makes sense to me. So when you were in the third grade, you were that kid in the class. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be pilot.
I figured so. I see the planes. I get that feeling immediately.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pilot, but back then, so at I don't know what third grade is the equivalent to over here in Ireland, but at the age of 12, 11 or 12, I got my first pair of glasses, and you couldn't fly commercial aircraft.
Oh yeah.
Glasses. So
Yeah.
that for me was okay. So that's not going to be the case. So then I had to kind of, for one better word, I was lost for quite a long time. So when I finished secondary school or high school, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. So I did electronic engineering, I did computer science, I did I my first job that I got, I did commerce as well, but the first job that I got was in investment brokers. And it was actually the finance director in the investment broker company that I worked with. He saw that I had an aptitude for numbers, and I saw different things in numbers that most people wouldn't actually see. And he encouraged me to say, look, would you do accountancy? So I said, look, I'll try it.
Yeah.
And that's when I started doing accountancy. And then I developed my career in terms of business consultancy.
Yeah, I get that. My day job is as an IT guy, and I remember bouncing around, and when I did it in the 90s, I was doing desktop publishing, and the people that ran the company wanted to save money, so they were like, "Hey, do you want to do some computer stuff? You want to you just get
Yeah.
grandfathered in." Now we're in this modern era where you get certifications, there's
Yeah.
specializations. Back then it was aggro. It was like, "Hey, we got this thing. You want to give it a shot?" And then you just got another job role.
Yeah, exactly. But it's something new, and you know, me personally, I love trying to seeing what's new and what's and embracing the newness of out there. Like
Yeah.
right now at the moment, some people are embracing AI. I'm jumping straight in and saying, okay, look, what are the possibilities here? So I'm probably one of your early adopters. Let's put that way, you know.
It's interesting. I've really only noticed in the last 2 or 3 months that AI is kind of shot through the roof. It's becoming
Yeah,
something that we talk about
yeah,
all the time. Are you sensing that?
yeah. It's huge. Like AI has been there in some respects.
Yeah, it has.
Suppose really just with ChatGPT, it's really kind of taken legs.
Yeah, and somebody was showing me Chat GPT what they were doing. I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
why it's like Arthur C. Clarke monolith kind of thing. It's like what's going on here?
I'm waiting for the time when you know in the Iron Man movies,
Yeah,
and you know you're talking to literally an AI voice, and literally I'm waiting for
yeah.
that.
Well, I will tell you one thing. I got a little bit of a lineage with Iron Man. I get accused of being Tony Stark, and I've literally had people stop me and they're like, dude, and I'm like, it's not me, but I was at a hotel back in like 2018 or 19, and the clerk at the front desk was so convinced they put a note under my door. It was a young girl, and she said I felt like I felt that fascination like I was in junior high again. Thank you. And I was just like I was just born, It's kind of like the monarchy. You're just born into it. You don't know what you're doing. It just kind of happens. So
Oh, absolutely.
it's wild. So let's get to the early parts of your life here, your fascination with aviation and how you became who you are. What were some of the seeds that were put into you to grow into who you are today?
Um, okay, well, look, let me share something that wouldn't normally be people wouldn't normally come across. So, well, okay, growing up in Ireland, there's a lot of mythology and folklore around being born the seventh son. So I was actually born the seventh son of a seventh of a seventh. So as soon as you're born the seventh son in Ireland, there's a test that will normally be done to see whether you have what's in inverted commas, whether you've got the gift. And that typically is a gift of healing. So I would have had, and so yeah, first of all, the test was done on me when I was a kid, but also I would have a lot of people come to the house and they would look for healing. So they'd be come with cancer or rheumatism or whatever different ailment that they'll come across, and I would do a physical healing for them. Um, and then growing up, I knew well, first of all, I was treated differently, and I knew there was something different about me because again, growing up, one of seven brothers, and you're kind of being somewhat treated differently within the family, and all these people are coming to you, you kind of know that there's something different. But it wasn't really until I was in my career and working with different people and so on that the more the intuitive and the empathic side came through. And I searched for many, many years. So I'd give what I would call, I'd give insights and knowings, and I'd get images for clients as I'm working with them. And over the years, I first of all, I would tell them things that were going to happen, and they'd turn around and say, "Look, Paul, you're just making it up." But it wasn't until maybe a couple of months down the road or 6 months down the road, and the different things that I would told them came true. And then now they started to take me really, really seriously from that perspective. But it wasn't until I was doing a lot of testing in my own mind. It's the analytical side of me as well as the intuitive side. I was doing a lot of testing. So, okay, what's the images? What do they mean? What's the information that I'm supposed to be getting for these people? And I didn't use it back then before as regards, I didn't see it as being their purpose, but I saw it as regards what would actually give them their highest potential and what would give them the most success in life. That's what I saw it as. But now over the years, I've learned that it is actually their purpose that they're here to fulfill, because I now get an awful lot more information in terms of the intention behind why they're to do it and the difference that they're actually here to make for people. So that was huge for me. But I suppose in some respects, clients will turn around to me and say, "Yeah, look, where you get this information from," and especially in the business world, because like it's not something you'd expect from a business consultant, let alone an accountant, to come in and say, "Look, hey, I need to pass on this information to you." I can't really explain where it's coming from, but
Yeah.
here's the information. But all throughout that time, I was seeking my own sense of purpose. What am I here to do? So I could tell clients what their purpose was, but what was I here for? And I tried all the things that everybody else tries, which is, finding your passion or find an ikigai, or in recent years it's now been find your why and so on. And every single one of those has been completely misleading because it never correlated to the information that was needed. And so I had to develop my own methodology. And in developing my own methodology, what I've been doing then is, because as I said, I've been in business over 22 years. I've been working with clients, and the insights and the images and the knowings that we get for clients and other people that we'll come across. I was looking for the evidence that's the analytical part of me. I was looking for the evidence in their life that supported that information that I was getting. And
Yeah.
that's now literally where I've in effect perfected, and I will continuously perfect it anyway, is the methodology to find an individual's unique life purpose, which is completely different to how everybody else talks about life purpose.
That's fascinating. What a great story. Great
Mm.
backstory. Great. Um, so did you ever fly? I mean, you can't, I mean, can you even, if you wanted to, get your pilot's license?
I could, yeah, no, I could. I've flown probably nearly, apart from commercial aircraft, I've flown small aircraft, helicopters, gliders, hot air balloons. I've jumped out of an aircraft twice,
Oh, cool.
with a parachute.
Yeah.
Um, I've last year I did what's called a biplane wing walk, which is you're on a biplane which has two wings. You're secured to the top, and you're taken up to 4,000 feet, and you're doing aerobatics in the air.
Right
So
on.
yes, so aviation features. Funny enough, aviation features in clients and work I do and experiences and all the kinds of things. But it's nothing whatsoever got to do with my purpose. That's what I classify as being it's a passion,
Yeah.
but it's nothing whatsoever got to do with my purpose.
But it definitely makes you who you are. It leads to how your passion and how you live.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
where people talk about find your passions, and then that's what your purpose is, but it's actually not. It's passions are transient. So it's passions are very, very different to what will give you fulfillment and what will actually give you what you're here to do, what your mission is in life. But when people try and figure out, look at what's their purpose, the question that they're asking is
Yeah.
what am I here to do? And that's a specific answer that I get for people. And now we wrap up in relation. Okay, so what are all the things that are going to bring you fulfillment? And that's also very, very different, because passions are transient, but whereas fulfillment actually it's got a similar, but it's a much deeper sense of I really, really love this, as opposed to I enjoy doing this. It's very,
Yeah.
very different. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's interesting. There was a song I was curating for my jazz show yesterday, and Amelia Earhart's name came up. And about before the pandemic, I went to her hometown in Leavenworth, Kansas, and
Yeah.
went through her the museum that they turned into her house. It's pretty fascinating. I
Yeah.
I don't think I really understood the entire story and how much of a trailblazer she was and the mystery behind her disappearance. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah, and you see that pop up in different people over like in all different industries.
Yeah,
But it's phenomenal. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally. So let me ask you this: who's been kind of a hero or a role model for you in your life?
Good question, because not that many. I would say, and probably to this day, I would, and I know he's probably common to a lot of people, but I would actually look at Richard Branson in what he does. And the reason being is that it's not so much the financial success, because yeah, look at most people will look at financial success, but he's got a huge amount of balance. So he's got the fun element. He's got the altruistic side of it. He's got literally, and again, okay, look at, he wants to try and get into commercial, space travel.
Yeah,
Um, that's on my cards. I literally want to see the curvature of the earth.
yeah,
So yeah, look, and I have that reason as regards to, could I follow Elon Musk? Yeah, I could, or Jeff Bezos. But I just feel that Richard Branson has an awful lot of the balance in his life compared to, say, some of the others.
absolutely. Yeah, he's a great guy. Um, Let me ask you this. Maybe you already answered it. If you can meet one person alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would it be?
I probably would like to spend time with Richard Branson, probably swimming around his island if I could swim. But I wouldn't know what to ask him actually.
Yeah,
I'd
right, right.
actually just like to chill out,
Yeah,
and just enjoy his company as opposed to, interrogate. Because I'm sure he's been asked several times, like, and sure that like there's the excursions that take place in Necker Island and all that kind of things, and I'm sure he's answering the same question day in and day out. I'd actually just like to chill out with the guy, you
yeah,
know.
that'd be fascinating. So, what is the daily motivator for you? We all get up, we all have things we want to accomplish. What is it for you that ultimately drives you every day?
It's simple. It's just saving lives. It's as simple as that. And I mean that both metaphorically and literally. So there'll be clients that will come to me, and again, underlined, they're looking for that sense of purpose, but they want to check out of life. And I know what that feeling is like because I've had that for decades. So they've either contemplated, planned, or even attempted suicide, and they literally just want to check out of life. So they're looking for that sense of purpose and the reason for, as regards why they should be here and stay here. So I mean that both metaphorically and literally, because there's people that are going through life, and even though they may not have suicide ideation or even thoughts around that in any shape or form, but they're going through life and they know that they're just existing. They feel like they're on a hamster wheel, and they're just doing the day job in order to pay the bills so they can go on the holidays and pay the mortgage and all that kinds of things. But they know that they're not really living life,
Yeah.
and that's what I mean by saving lives. Yeah.
So, of all of the things that you've done in your life, we all gain wisdom out of them. If you were to have a dream tonight, run into a 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on what you've lived and learned, what would you tell your young version?
Give me that one again, Joe, because it was breaking up there a little bit.
Broke
So
up a
just
little
give me that
bit?
one again.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
of all of the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point, if you could run into the 20-year-old version of yourself, you have a dream and run into that version, you could give that version of you a piece of advice. What would you tell that young version?
Um, Trust your gut, definitely. I've had to learn that over the years. Trust your gut, let go, and trust. Actually, trust that everything's going to be okay. So even though, in the darkest challenges that you face, it'll be a case of no, just trust your gut and trust it, and know that everything's actually going to be okay.
So, of all of the things that you've done in your life up to this point, what are you the proudest of?
Um, the first thing that comes to mind, I know everybody. I know I probably should say, my kids, but actually, the first thing that jumps into my mind is actually the people that I've had those conversations with to pull them back from the brink. That's the first thing that jumps into my mind.
So that's a pretty heavy thing to do with somebody. Let me ask you this. What's been the best client story, success story, fan letter you've ever gotten?
They're all correlated. The best one was literally, and I still remember her name's Joe, and it's I know you're Joe as well, but her name is Joe as well, and Jo, and it was literally just a heart-warming email that she sent me in terms of how much I saved her, because she has two kids. This was actually during COVID, and despite the fact that she has two kids, she didn't want to be here. And after me going through and discovering what her purpose was and explaining it to her and so on, it was probably about maybe a month or 2 months after me working with her, and she sent me the most amazing email and just heartwarming email of literally how much I saved her. And that, so it's that, but I'd get a number of those. I'd get like next week, one of my clients is sending me off to a 5-star hotel here in Ireland for a stay, completely and utterly paid for. I'm so much looking forward to that. And when he gave me the gift of it, honestly, I broke down, because it's just, I'm still getting emotion now. It was just a thank you,
Yeah,
and it's a simple thank you, but it was just significant of literally the work that we done together. Yeah.
that's huge. So it's almost like you got a superpower.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't treat like that, but honestly, I'm hugely privileged to do the work that I do. Honestly, I really, really am privileged to do the work that I do,
Absolutely.
and I absolutely love it. Yeah.
So let's get to the true essence of who you are. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh my God, that's a deep question.
This is the therapy question.
It is, yeah. What's my perception of myself? Um, my first reaction is just a deep thinker. I don't take things at face value. Hence the reason why it takes me a long time to build trust with people, or for people to build trust with me, one or the other. I would I kind of think big picture, but think also really, really deep. So I'd have this kind of like satellite view of the world and see what's happening from a global perspective. I'd have that, but I'd also chunk down into asking those really, really big questions of life. Like, for example, what's the meaning of life? It's so I'm a deep thinker from that perspective, and looking for different perspectives.
So if anyone out there wants to learn more about you, hire you, anything pertaining to your world, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, the easiest place is literally just go to my website, which is paulwilliamdavis.com, and they'll find it. Well, they probably learned so much more about me now just on this particular episode. But yeah, the easiest is my website, paulwilliamdavis.com.
It almost should be the seventh
Yeah.
son.com.
Good.
I,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure that's taken. So, Paul Davis, thank you very much for opening up. I appreciate it. Send all our love to Ireland and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Take care. See you later.